Hello everyone, welcome back and welcome new viewers to some more Stormworks. I've got something really cool to show you, I think, today. So let's not waste more time. Let's go ahead and jump in the workbench and let's get started with a little bit of a story, I guess. Alright, some time ago I did a tutorial using this turbine diesel and it was actually quite good. I actually enjoyed the engine. The power that it produced was quite something. So this led me down a really long trail of builds that will end up to what you see today. But let's kind of go on this little journey and see what kind of progression that we had here, because I didn't get to show any of these builds off, and I kind of want to show you guys these things. All right, so the engine you just saw led to this. This is the same engine inside, and it's just, you know, kind of like a little, almost like a little squid. But this was the first thing that I did with that engine. I just kind of tried to make it look nice and see if we could actually start building on it and if it would cause any problems, things like that. Let's see if we can get this thing in the air. If it goes in the air, we'll just, you know, we'll move on. All right, so there we go. It's up in the air. This thing flies around. It looks really weird because it has no wings on it, no control surfaces, things like that. So it just doesn't look right in the air, which led me down another little road. I was like, this looks awesome. I love how this makes me feel in the game. It's very, very, very weird. So this led to another build. Okay, so with a little bit of modifications and a little bit of time, that build turned into this build, which almost looks like kind of like an Apache or something like that, but it doesn't have any helicopter blades, as you'll notice, but it will hover. That was something that I was working on that I was like, you know, and we're still using that same engine. We're still using that diesel turbine engine. Ooh, okay. Oh, we're stuck in the ground here. Always stuck in the ground. All right, let's try this again. So this one again, you can kind of see the engine in there. You see that little slit. There's our fan, and this was the same build. I just started changing blocks and moving things around. But as you can see, it's more of like an attack helicopter, but with no blades. I dubbed this one the no haircut helicopter. And for me, this was great because I could take it anywhere. I could jump out and not get killed. So as you can see, it flies around. It does pretty good. It's not a bad little vehicle for Stormworks. The fact that we've reduced our blades to not being able to be damaged was a huge upgrade here. I started thinking all the things I could do, and I was like, man, with the rescue missions and rescuing other people, not having to have those blades get damaged and not killing myself was another big bonus there. So, you know, messing around, tweaking with this one, there were several designs that came up with this one, and I can show you a couple of those real quick. So there was a newer version that had a lot of rust spots, things like that on it, extra wings, just, you know, started upgrading it. From there, it got a new, some upgrades. We've got a new paint job, some weapons, some massive weapon systems here. Pretty much can take down anything with this little vehicle, and you don't have to worry about getting your rotors damaged in a dogfight, which is really nice. So those led to each other. This one was a little more fun. Let me get inside this one real quick. This one was more just because as I was designing on it, it looked really weird. Okay. It looked weird. It looked like an insect, so I had to make the insect. I don't know what I'll do with this. It does feel very, very creepy. Maybe at some point we'll come back to this and we'll work on this, but as far as where this build was going, this was just kind of an offshoot, and I just kind of wanted to do something with this because it was looking a little creepy, and I figured why not throw some legs on it, because the wings were looking a little insecticide's the poison that kills them. Insectoid, maybe is the right word there. I don't know. Correct me in the comments. But so yeah, that led to this thing, the flying cockroach, and it pretty much ended pretty quick. So from there, a couple weeks had passed. I think we had done I think we did the helicopter build, and then I kind of went back and did some more changes to other things and ended up making this. This is a more finalized version of what we saw before. Are we started? Okay, we are started. Good. So yeah, it does the same kind of that the blue one did earlier. It hovers, so it acts like a helicopter, flies like a helicopter. You just can't see any of the props. Which is really nice. I've got some XML lights on here just to kind of make it look like it's got some hover pads. It felt like it needed something to excuse why it's just floating there. But yeah, this thing, it's got all the things, got some med beds on it, got quite a bit of equipment snuck in here somewhere. But yeah, let's get this thing moving forward here. As you can see, wings come out. It looks more like a fighter plane here. But yeah, it just kind of glides around. It's a nice little build that kind of does what it wants to do. And now the wings are getting kind of wonky. Interesting. Man, I love it when things change. There they go. They've kind of got like a mind of their own. So this was dubbed the Rabbit. Clearly you can understand that with the wings looking like ears there. But this was my build. This was what I started using to play around and to have a little bit of fun just on some community servers and things like that. But then they announced that space was coming, and I was like, oh man, this would be such a great spaceship. But then there wasn't enough space inside my so-called spaceship, and we started getting into the logistics of docking doors, hatches, air holds, having to have gases, all kinds of different thruster systems, and I was just like, this is not going to be the platform that works. So I had to make up some changes. This thing works really great. I still love this build. We're not trashing this one. It's just gonna be put in the garage for a little bit. So let's take this back to the workbench. So once space was announced, I started messing with the solid rocket boosters and some more fans and stuff, and I ended up coming with this weird little platform here, and this was more just to kind of see what the rockets would do, especially if they were on a separate pivot and things like that. But this is more of just a testing platform, and you can see we'll get in the air here and we'll get both thrusters going. And I used this a lot, and I built a lot of other rockets, just some single straight rockets, and had a hard time getting pretty much away from Earth. The solid boosters just do not work well at all. I think 50k was about the max that I'm able to get with the solid thrusters. I'm sure a lot of you other guys might be able to get a little higher, but I found that as I added more boosters, we're adding more weight, and then of course we're adding more problems to leave Atmo here. So as you can see, we're doing pretty good, but we won't make it. We will not have the fuel to make this trip. So lots of discussions happened. Lots of things went into like, why are we doing this? How are we going to do this? How can we make this, you know, efficient? So with that test out of the way, I started going back and I was like, let's build some stuff. Let's just start from the ground up and let's figure out what we're doing. So this is where I ended up. We've got our diesel turbine here, and we've got one on top as well. I was trying to make sure that we had enough power to move whatever we built, but that the thrust was also evenly distributed between the build here. Nice big dome here. That's just housing some coaxial rotors. That's how we've done the other ones here. But then after doing this, I realized that the big rotors here, they suck. They suck bad. And the small rotors actually have more power to move things. So that led to this build here. So we've got the same dual engines top and bottom. We've got coaxial rotors in here, but they're the smaller ones, providing more power. Started putting some solid thrusters on it and realized that was going to be a mistake because they don't have the power. So I was like, you know what, let's mess with some landing gears, and I realized that pivots suck. So that's where this project kind of stopped. I even got this close to starting putting some bunks in this thing, but I didn't like where it was going, so we trashed it. So after trashing it, I went back to the big props for some reason, thinking that they would work better. Slapped a cockpit on it and kind of a tail section, give it a little bit of paint, and started working on it. And realized that there's just not a lot of room. Oh, there's just not a lot of room in here. I can kind of walk through here, and that was what was mentioned, is being able to can you walk through your build? And I was like, yeah, sorta, but there's just not a lot of room in here to do what I wanted. And I started thinking about all the different applications that we need to do in space. So that got scratched pretty quick. And I was like, you know, I need more room to walk around. So the design changed a little bit. We went from our big blades to some side rotors here, and we've basically, now we just have a VTOL. So we've got props on this side and props on this side. The only thing is they don't rotate forward. So all of our forward thrust was going to be done with our large fans here. So moving some stuff around, I got it to where there was more space in here, and I was able to kind of come in here and get into repairing the engines and things, but I just didn't like the up and down. I didn't like having a squat. I didn't like how it dropped down in here. It didn't feel like enough space. So there was the throwing it away again. That's what we're doing. So we went back to our career series, got back in the VTOL, and I really like some of the aspects of the VTOL that we were using to move fuel in our career series. But it just wasn't complete. It didn't feel complete, and I didn't want to like build off of that. But I kind of liked the way the cockpit was laid out of that. And then I turned around and did a tutorial for you guys on jet turbines. So that was something that was built, and I realized the benefits of the power of this thing. And I don't normally use jet engines just because they're so freaking loud. They're so loud, and you got to go to the seat, put a helmet on, and even with a helmet, they're super loud. And any of your passengers they can't hear you either, especially if they're just in a passenger seat that you can't put a helmet on. I don't know why that's not a thing. We need to have an update on that. Passenger seat helmets, please. Headphones, things like that. But anyway, this thing had a lot of power. And I was really loving how this thing was moving around. So that led to what you're about to see next. And I apologize that I didn't make a video on it. It just, I didn't know where I was going with it. Obviously with all the builds that you've seen here today, they're all over the place. They kind of have some consistency between them, but they don't. And with the Space DLC and all the conversations that I've had with all my buddies, I just didn't know what we would need for this DLC. So luckily for us, Starfield came out, and I was able to play that for a little while, and kind of, you know, and that was right after the Space DLC dropped. So I was like super excited about that. I was like, great, I'm gonna use Starfield. I'm gonna get all this inspiration from that, and I took a lot of inspiration from Starfield. If you guys played that, you might see a lot of the inspiration in the ship that way. So I started to build my ship the way you would build it in Starfield, which is I just started with like a cargo bay, and I built each piece kind of modular, and then stuck them together. And that's why my build probably looks the way it does, is because I had an idea for the engines. I had an idea for the cockpit. I had an idea for the cargo hold. I had an idea for the living space. I had an idea for engineering, and all those were built separately and then came together like a modular home almost. So I'm going to reveal to you what I have built. All right, so we're going to turn around here, and I'm going to show you the Albatross. This is my new spaceship. Watch out, gas tanks. This is going to be my new spaceship for getting to space. It's really, it's an all-in-one. It's an all-in-one single stage takeoff system here. So if I wanted to, if space did not exist and we weren't getting a space DLC, this thing works as is in the world of Stormworks. I can go around, do missions, get things done, rescue people. I can carry cargo containers. I can do all that. That's how I was building it, as if, you know, I was never going to leave planet, but I had to have a huge enough platform that when we did get the new parts and the new pieces, I could slap them in and have no worry. So yeah, as you can see, massive platform here. We've got some massive engines here on the sides. Inside those engines, we've got our fan here, and we've got our jet engines. But as you can see, it's not that big. We've got a lot of space in there that we can add our new liquid thrusters in here and add a lot of fuel inside that to be able to house that as well. So that's kind of what this is. This is kind of a dual engine here that we got going on. I've got some cross pieces here. Those are just to kind of represent the new thrusters that we get, the little RCS thrusters for space movement. I know that the blocks are a little different, but that's just kind of where I want these placed. So that's where they're gonna go. Moving around the back, I do have some XML lights in here. It is the only XML that I have on the vehicle, but it's a space vehicle, and when you see what it does, you'll understand why I threw the lights in there. Coming around the back here, we've got a docking hatch. We've got a large door, so I could dock with, say, myself if I needed to and get access to it, or another space station or another ship. On top of that is also a small one, just in case somebody doesn't have a large door. I have the ability to dock with both, which is really nice. Landing gear coming around the other side. We've got our other nacelle here. I got some paint blocks here that are just kind of sitting there. As you can see, things are not done. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a tour on the inside. I've got a lot of work to do still. I just realized that I changed the color of something, and all this used to be safety yellow, and now it's all red. That's okay. So coming up, you can see we've got kind of an automatic dock here. And real quick, I know a lot of you are going to say this looks like something. It's several ships in one. Obviously, the inspiration for building came from Starfield. But any of you who are familiar with the TV series Firefly or the movie Serenity, this is Serenity. You can see it kind of in the front here. We've got the nose of Serenity. It's also mixed with the Razor Crest, a Naboo starfighter, the cargo ships from No Man's Sky, and there was another ship in there that I was using, and I cannot remember it right now at the moment. But if it inspires you and it looks like something, let me know down in the comments what it looks like. But those are a lot of the ships that I use for inspiration. Let's get on board. Let's show you what's going on in here. Come on, lower the cargo door. All right, so cargo door comes down. I've got a winch here. We're going to be using that new space chair to be able to float around in space, and I wanted to be able to have an attachment point and to be able to repair my ship out in space, so that's what that is. We've got a door here, but we've also got a big door to allow, say, a rover or something to come in and park, or our space seat. So we can come in here, we can do that. We'll shut that door, easy peasy. We got a bottom hatch here. That's for when I decide to finally get rid of these microcontrollers somewhere else, and I can put a big winch in here, and we can do winch missions, which would be really nice. So we walk around that. That's great. We've got plenty of seating in here. We've got 18 seats in the bottom. That's way more than we need. Way more than we need, but we've got plenty. Easy access to the bottom here. This is a sealed compartment, so this will be able to be filled with oxygen, but it is the first door that opens up to outer space, so it might lose a lot of its O2 in the process. So that's why we got a main access here. This is to be able to pump O2 in here and keep this separate from our cargo bay. But you can come down. We've got a little room here. I'm starting to put some tanks in here. I've got some diesel storage here. Lots and lots of colored pipes here, and I feel like I'm going back to the days when I first started playing Stormworks with colored pipes, just to be able to organize everything. But now that we've got so many different things, we're gonna need colored pipes. So I'll show you my my color pattern here. We got gray, that's gonna be our carbon monoxide. We got dark blue for our water. Green is gonna be our nitrogen. Red for jet fuel. Orange for diesel. Yellow for hydrogen. And our light blue is going to be our oxygen. All the things that we will need to be pumping through our vehicle, which is gonna be a lot of systems. That's a lot compared to before when we only needed to have literally just what comes from the engine. So let's go up. Let's take a trip up top. We'll pop out of here. We can close that. The first little room you come into is a little galley here, which is nice. Got a little stove, got some cabinets. Might end up changing this area if we need more space for things, but I was just trying to fill this area considering that it was right next to our habitat center here. 4 bunks. Got some thermostat here, control, you got Arctic gear, pretty much, skylight windows. They are skylights now, but when we're in space, they'll be side windows, top windows, bottom windows, doesn't really matter. Got beds, there will be lights here to help you there. This screen here will be a life support system, so if you hop out of bed, you'll be able to know what's going on with everything on the ship. This will let you know if you need to run forward to the cockpit or backwards to the engineering, which we're getting ready to go check out right now. So we'll open the door, we're gonna come into engineering. I've got all of our electrical here. We're just setting up 2 different battery banks. I've got solar systems here, a whole bunch of relays to be able to figure out what's on, what's not working. On the other side here, we've got a submarine engine. That's an engine that will run underwater. Since we don't have oxygen in space, we're gonna have to run our engines inside of our compartments. And this is just a backup to make sure that if we do damage something or we don't have power, we can crank up. There's one of our battery storages there. Coming on back through, we've got water. I don't think this is gonna be enough water to do electrolysis to make our own fuel, but right now it's just set up as a fire suppression system. We've got water here. I will be running water lines from these to the outside of our nacelles in case those catch on fire, and maybe through the rest of the build here too, in case anything else catches on fire there. Coming on back, we got a little bit of equipment here. We've got kind of a small little area here. This is going to be where we have all of our new containers, all of our new cylinders and things like that. There'll be a nice little storage area for that. I know that one of the cylinders is a 3x3x6 or 5. It's a big can, and it's that's going to really squeeze in here. So we might have to do some work on the outside. Let's go into the airlock here. Just nothing special in the airlock. We've got a door up top that allows for access, door on the back. You can see we can open those up and you can get out here. I've also got my fueling system here so that if I was, say, docked with a space station or another ship, I could easily just transfer whatever fuel we have in or out. If somebody's using, say, carbon dioxide for the little RCS thrusters, they could have my my excess waste air there, or that I could take theirs, if they're over capacity. So that's really what that's all about. We can close those doors here. Let me hop out real quick and we'll drop down and I'll show you this. So I'm slowly piping through the entire build, and that's why I'm color coding everything, just because there's we got we got seven fluids now, or 7 fluids / gases that we're running through our build that we need. So a lot going on there and a lot for confusion. So let's see, let's hop back up in here. We are back in our area. So coming up in here, we got into our command section. This is going to be a little bit of a display of overhead of the vehicle. Let us know what's going on. And right here, I'm working on a video comms, which is not working, but we'll be able to have video conversations here, little Zoom meetings. Coming in here, we've got our engineer and our navigator, so we can sit down. We've got radar. I don't know what kind of map system we'll be getting for the moon, if at all, if we'll be able to map the moon at all, but that's my plan here, is to have some sort of mapping system for the moon as well, that somebody can help out. Coming up forward, we've got our cockpit here, our helm. We've got co-pilot and pilot. I've got some diving equipment here and an empty. This will probably be the space suit and parachute in the future. I got to see what we get, but that's what that is. So we'll sit down here. This is our co-pilot here. We've got a transponder locator. We've got our speed, altitude, distance, compass, kind of a map here, and we've got our weather information here. So a lot of stuff that can help the pilot out. Sitting down in the pilot, we've got our spoil system that helps with navigation pretty quick. We've got all our GPS waypoints here. We've got our jet fuel, our oxygen and hydrogen count, which we don't have any of that yet, so we don't know the counts on that. Pretty much a simple system. Got a bunch of lights. Those are unused, just waiting for life support systems here. I do have a camera system here, so we've got a camera on the nose that looks forward, and it is set to look like a window here. So as we were to fly around, it will match up what's outside pretty evenly here. It says connected, disregard that. It is a screen, it's work in progress. So this is the bottom hatch here. We've got our back door and we've got our top door, and that's what all this integrates with, is to be able to dock in space and to see what we're doing and how close we are to docking. So we got a radio on the side, pretty simple stuff. Let's get this thing cranked up and in the air, and you guys can see how it does. The system's already on. Let's get our main power on. Let's get our engines going. It might take a minute. Yeah, it's gonna take a minute. Let's go ahead and boost those starters up. There we go. Boop, boop. Good to go. All right, we are hovering, and I really stressed on making sure that I had a really nice first-person view. So we've got lots of visibility on the top, not a lot on the bottom, but that's what this was all about. But in space, there is no bottom, there is no up, there is no down, so we just kind of look however we want. Let's get in the air here. Let's get some height. I want to drop completely out of the sky, and so here you can see the. Let's get our landing legs up. You can see how those are nice and neat. Those tuck up right into the belly. There we go. You can see our bottom access door, and let's go ahead and let's turn some light down so you can see here. You can see that there's a slight bit of blue glow to our lights here. Let's see if we start moving forward. You can see they start to the engines start to warm up. So that's where the lights are for in the engines here. They just kind of give the engines a little bit more realistic feel here. And if I was to go faster, you're gonna see they really light up as we gain some speed here. And there we go. Now we're burning a nice blue-white color here, indicating that we're going a lot faster. We're doing about 300 kilometers an hour here. Let's see. Let's get some more light so you guys can actually see what's going on. You can actually see those engines now. Look at them. So thing flies really, really well. We're doing really well here. Let's see if I can level it off. Get some actual numbers here for you. So we are doing about 330 kilometers per hour at 0.5 liters a second. So for 0.5. So for I say something that's using jet engines, and this thing weighs well over 20,000 mass in game. We're doing pretty good there. We could travel around quite good. What's our distance here? Almost 2,000 kilometers in distance here with the fuel that we have. Now that is 8,000 liters of jet fuel. If you were to price that out, it would cost about $50,000 to fuel this thing up, which is quite pricey. Luckily we have the ability to make our own fuel now, and that's something that we can do so that it doesn't cost a whole lot. But this thing I have tested. So first of all, let's go ahead and I want to crank the speed up. I want you guys to see how fast this thing can go. It will go quite fast. It will go faster, but I've had a lot of issues with Stormworks starting to bug out once it does go faster. So I found a nice happy medium where we can go fast but not cause lag and problems in the game. So that's around 950, which is quite fast for anything in this game. Now it looks like we're moving like a turtle because this thing is so big that the speeds do not feel like it. But I've brought some buddies in. They've brought their jets in, and we've raced, and I've just smoked them. So yeah, this thing will haul butt. What was that noise? So yeah, it will go to outer space. Let's see if I can get it vertical here. It wants to fight me because we've got a lot of systems here that I got to work on. Mainly there's some gyro issues that are going on, but it will go vertical, and I have had it I think I got bored once I made it to 130, almost 140k straight up. 100k is space. That's when you technically are in space. The 300 kilometers we do need to get because that's going to be our geostationary orbit or whatever. But at that point, I don't think the engines are going to work. I have a feeling that right around 100k, we're going to start to lose oxygen, and that's when things are going to die out. And that's when I'd be able to switch over to our liquid thrusters and continue on into space using those and our RCS thrusters. So it does see. Okay, now we're trying to naturally hold here. Once it kind of gets vertical, it wants to fight you to kind of go level again. So there we go. We are going to space technically. If the DLC was here, we'd be there. So yeah, guys. This is the Albatross. This is my new spaceship platform single stage takeoff. I can't wait till we get the new parts. There's so many new parts that we're going to be putting into this I feel like I got several more weeks to go on this. I've already been working probably 2 weeks straight on this. I'm sorry I didn't show you any videos. I don't know what to do. I didn't know which directions I was going with this, so they would have been all over the place. So that's why I'm sharing it with you now. Oh, you know what? One thing I didn't show you guys, once we get to space, we're not gonna have any power. So there we go. I've got solar panels that will open up and we can provide power with our really crappy solar cells here. I've been joking the whole time I've been building this that it's a $300,000 spaceship with $200,000 solar panels on it, and that is true. If you delete these solar panels, they are about 200,000 bucks. But we are getting closer and closer to $500,000 on this thing, and I don't see why we wouldn't push that to get to space. Space will be very expensive for all the systems, especially for something that is going to be used in all aspects of the world and career and the game. So yeah, guys, that is the Albatross. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you 100%. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you throw a like on this video, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Now that I've shown this to you guys, and we do have space coming up in a few weeks, I will be showing you more videos of this and more things that we are doing. So yeah, guys, thanks a lot, and we will see you in the next one.